listening to the Ice Prep Podcast. Here's your hosts, Brian and Pat.
Welcome, everyone, to Ice Prep Podcast. What's up, Pat?
Were you saying words while that was on? Because I could hear what sounded like...
Oh, I guess you couldn't hear me. I turned my mic. So for those playing the game at home, I can talk to Pat when I'm playing other things, but I guess he couldn't hear me because he can also hear the music. I was like, Pat suddenly looks blue. He must have just gone to a different screen. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the final regular season week in the NHL, because this time next week there will be only a handful of games left. Playoffs start up on, I can't click my calendar, it'll show up.
8 days.
The 17th, I believe, of April?
Something like that.
If I look at a calendar, I can tell you.
According to Cap Friendly, as of right now, the regular season ends in 8 days, 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 19 seconds. So...
Had you told me that earlier, I could have had a lovely little counter going on the screen to be like, end of season in.
I mean, it's not the most riveting thing. It's 8 days away. We could still have that on for the next episode.
Well, I guess for the next one, for the Legend of Zelda fans out there, we could do the dawn of the final day type thing approaching.
Oh, yes. Or just fan of memes.
Yeah.
Any hoodles. What's going on?
What? Not a lot. It's been an interesting week because where I work, I'm inside of a TV station for where I work in radio, and I've been doing news all week, which is weird for me, so I interact with TV a lot more. So it's been an interesting week. And other than that, yeah. This set round of university courses wrapping up soon, so I'm looking forward to having I think I get 2 weeks off before I start summer intersession courses, so
that's not too bad.
No. And how is life over at Pat's new humble abode?
Not much has changed in this house, simply because I'm so tired consistently and constantly. Not a ton. Passover, so happy belated Passover to everyone who celebrates. That was last night. I made a brisket. It was pretty damn good, if I say so myself.
You made it for Passover, but let's be honest. You would make a brisket just because. You don't need a reason to make brisket.
Do you understand how much work a brisket is?
I swear, it's like once every month and a half, I get a photo from Pat being like, look what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the turkey was because I just needed to get rid of it. And the brisket, there was a reason. But one brisket's not cheap. To get a good cut, it's I have a meat guy. That's
Ooh.
right. I've hit the age where I have a meat guy, my own personal butcher. And he usually helps out a bunch, but even still, they're not cheap. And then you have to do a lot of fat trimming, and you have to make sure that it fits in the Dutch oven, because I don't have a smoker, so I have to do it in the oven and everything like that. So it's a good amount of time. So, that's the sort of trimmed one.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, you're playing a risky game.
That's why I
turned
turned the
images that we've sent.
That's why I turned the thing off. So for those listening,
Yes.
showing the pictures of the brisket, there's the done one for those who are watching along. So Pat was making me jealous the other day.
It was a lot of meat. I made it for myself, my wife, and then my wife's side. Mother-in-law and brother and sister-in-law, and I guess technically the newborns, but they didn't really have much, and they didn't like the blended up version that I gave them, so it's fine. For those that are listening or watching, that is a joke.
Pat didn't actually do that.
I did not feed 12-day-old babies brisket. Unless they're my own. So, that's it. That's literally the excitement in my life. So, hockey.
Baseball's been back. Talk that for a second, because the Jays look bad, and then suddenly they look better again, so that's nice. It got to the point where I was like, do I really want to follow the Jays? And it's like, okay, they're back. They're playing better. And apparently,
Bandwagoner.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Boo.
And I do have to
I
say,
say with a San Francisco scarf behind me, but still, boo.
the changes to the Rogers Center. Not sure if you saw, they did the grand reopening today. They look really good.
Yeah.
I know
that
a lot of
looks-
people going to that home opener, and I have the feeling there's going to be a lot of people fighting to get early to go out into that social area.
Yeah. I honestly, I feel like the first like 3 months of that being open, don't try and do that
Unless you live
You have a
there.
lot of fortitude to just push through a whole bunch of people and just fight for a seat.
Or you live in the area and you're just like, yeah, I can stand in line. I don't care.
Yeah.
For us, that's
No.
like, no, that's a far drive.
That's a 2-hour drive to hope that you get a spot. So
And
that
don't
sucks.
miss the GO train in. Yes.
True. Well,
Okay.
I mean, if you take the train. Anyway, hockey.
Hockey.
Let us talk about the hockeys.
There's a lot. I kind of showed you a little bit of things that I had on ideas about to talk. I guess we can start on this one here because it is the 5-year anniversary of the Humboldt Broncos, the crash that kind of completely shook Canada. I can remember all of the details for that coming out. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It
There,
like,
there's
I-
really
for-
not
I-
a ton you can.
yeah, but like
Say,
the
it's
kids
just-
that are still there, the work that they're doing to help others, it's incredible. Yeah, and as you go through the replies, it's just like alumni, hockey teams, more hockey teams replying to it. So that definitely not forgotten. So, but
No.
we'll start off that way.
Yep. Thoughts are with the family, and hopefully there is some semblance of peace with them. So Yeah.
From there, because we love talking about who can clinch, who can get eliminated. We'll pull up the thing that, for those listening, it's confusing. Basically,
it's
the
just
long
a whole bunch of logos all mashed together and like weird abbreviations. It's like
So
but, if, and, or.
the TLDR, the Kraken can clinch tonight, which would be awesome because season 1, everybody's like, these guys suck. Season 2, it was like, okay, there's some good things, and it was like, oh, they're real good. They definitely speed wobbled around the trade deadline, but they were pretty much a lock to make in. They win tonight, they're in. That's the long of the short. And there's still a chance that it could be Seattle, Vegas, round 1, but the Pacific is close. The Central's closer. All of a sudden, the West has just decided that their teams are going to be just as scary, except for like just Boston, Carolina, and Detroit, who are not New Jersey, sitting above everybody. Red Wings, if they lose tonight, they're out.
Yep.
And Ottawa, if they lose tonight, they're out. And as it stands right now, Ottawa is getting their butt kicked, and Detroit climbed back from a 4-2 down to be 4-4 now. So
Wow.
because as we look at things, the East is pretty much locked up. Buffalo, they're almost, like they have to win out. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
No.
The Islanders, the Panthers, and the Penguins are making the end interesting, though, which is kind of fun. If I'm trying to think too, if Carolina wins tonight as well, that means that New York, the Rangers at highest, can finish second. So there's still a lot to
Right.
play for in the Metro, and there's still so much to play for in the East. And the West, honestly, is the more fun watch right now, just because of how many more moving pieces there are.
And everyone's playing such good hockey. It's insane. Oh, wow. Sorry. I just realized that Arizona has 6 points in their last 10 games. Because
they do.
Of,
And
oh,
the Ducks
sorry.
have 2.
I had everything organized really wrong. I was just like, what's going on? Why are
They-
they so high up on the list?
They
I
do
just
have
messed
6
up.
points in their last 10 games because they're 2-6-2.
Yeah, no, I was confusing myself. No, like the last 10 has been absolutely insane over in the West. Every single team is fighting so hard, including St. Louis.
Too bad
St.
they're
Louis
already
is
out.
going, I know, but they are just like, you know what? We're going to show you that we've got a couple more miles left in the tank. They're what is it? 6-2-2? Like
Which is good, but it's one of those years where it's like, okay, you're not going to make it. Throw in every single rookie and hope you don't win, even if it's a 3.5% chance.
yeah.
You take that to potentially get Bedard or even get up into the top 3 for one of those players. Since we last talked, the Avs went from third in the Central to now leading the Central, with all
I
three
mean,
teams
that was
sitting
like
at
2 points. Like
still. Like the Central has been insane because the Avs have been hot. Dallas is kind of sat back, and yeah, Minnesota's only playing well because of Matt Boldy. Everybody was like, "Oh, Kaprizov's out, they're in trouble," and now Boldy is he's just scoring like crazy.
it's not just Boldy.
Yes, but he's
The
the
goaltending,
well,
both you've got two goaltenders that are trying to fight to be the starting goaltender for the playoffs, and how do you choose? How do you choose Fleury or Gustafson, considering how well both of them are playing? Fleury's got the tenure, Gustafson's got the record this season.
if you're Colorado right now, you don't want to drop a single game because you don't want to face the Dallas goalie or you don't want to face the Minnesota goalies. You want those two teams to just murder each other, and then you either get to fight a limping Winnipeg, Calgary, or Nashville.
Oh,
You take that. You take any of those teams all day. The only one that is potentially scary is Winnipeg because
Winnipeg.
Hellebuck can steal 2 or 3 games, not one. But
He's looked a bit more human in the second half of the season. And the reason that I'd be worried about Winnipeg primarily as a team going up against them is when Winnipeg is losing, they get frustrated and they play stupid.
and
And
there's
they
also
hurt
this.
players.
We found this one
there's-
earlier today. Cale Makar, lower body officially out indefinitely with no timetable for his return. Now that could just be hockey speak for he's not going to be back until the 17th. It could be the second round. That usually just means he's going on LTIR, and we don't want to comment on the specifics. This close to playoffs makes sense because, yeah, he could come back, and they don't want to have players know to target somewhere. We
Yeah.
literally saw it last year with Draisaitl, and people were going after him, and he was still playing on one leg better than like every other hockey player.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
the Central to me right now is probably the most exciting thing in hockey that isn't really being talked about, at least in this area of the world.
yeah. No, it's all eyes on Toronto and Tampa, even though that's been the case for like 75% of the season.
Dude,
That's
somebody
been the matchup. Like,
somebody went back and did the math. Can you guess the date that Toronto Tampa was they were 2 and 3? Can you guess the date, and they have known ever since?
was it before Thanksgiving? The day before Thanksgiving?
It was Canadian or American?
American.
Little bit after American Thanksgiving.
Cool.
I don't know what the exact date was, but November 27th. Those teams have known since November 27th that odds are it was going to be Tampa Toronto. That's ridiculous. That is so
That's
stupid.
dumb.
And you know what my favorite thing is? If it was 1-8, it would be New Jersey against Tampa and Toronto against the Rangers.
I'd rather those matchups. That sounds more fun.
It would be more fun, but I think that's scarier for me. That it's
I feel like I feel New Jersey versus Tampa. I'd put my money on New Jersey. Tampa's a slower team, and if they go up against a fast team, they struggle. So yeah, like you look at what Colorado did to them, and I know that yes, it went to 6 games, but last year, like the speed killed them.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Like they couldn't keep up. Nothing against their players. I mean, Point is by far their fastest skater. He has wheels and he is a fantastic player, but he was injured, which is part of the game. Like Colorado keeps losing goalies in the playoffs, so and they couldn't get through until they had a healthy goalie. So like that's part of the game.
Pat,
does it suck?
Did they have a healthy goalie? He got stabbed in the eye with a stick.
Well, they had Francouz though. And Francouz could be a starter.
I know, but it still wasn't their main goalie getting through completely healthy. Like, how has Tampa made it there all these years in a row? Vasilevsky has played every second of every game. The Avs literally had their goaltender almost blinded.
And the defense for Tampa is
scary.
Stupid good. It's been stupid good for years, and Colorado has had that. But the issue is they'd had to go to their third string goalie almost every single season. Francouz, unfortunately, he's built like a house made of glass. So anything that even remotely comes near him hurts him. But he stood on his head a couple times. He came in and he did what he needed to do. He won the games for them. That's as much as you can ask for a backup for a goaltender, especially since like he's in his 30s, which I think a lot of people forget about it. I think he's like 33 or 34 or so. He's not got a ton left in the tank as a career backup. So unless he's Keith Kincaid, and then he's going to play until he's 97 years old.
Well, Keith Kincaid right now is backing up in Boston, and he doesn't get to see the. Oh, right, he got traded from Boston. Where's he at now?
He is backing up in Colorado.
Oh,
he is backing up
there.
Justus Anunin for the Colorado Eagles. I saw the lineup today, and I was like, good for Justus.
Blockade I miss him on the Devils, but that was somebody we had to let go. The other thing, talking about the Central, that it's still literally anybody's game. Avs have the advantage in two ways. Game in hand and that win column. The win column is going to be in their favor. I'd have to look up their regulation wins to fully verify because that's the first tiebreaker. But that game in hand is huge for them. I legitimately still couldn't tell you if it's going to be Winnipeg, Calgary, or Nashville. That to me is going to be very exciting to watch. They've got the regulation wins by 1 over Dallas right now. Minnesota can't really touch them. So.
Yeah, it's a nutty race, honestly. The fact that they're all tied at 98, that's dumb. That's stupid. All of this entire season and like right down to the wire, 98. All three.
Oh, sorry. Dallas has the regulation win. I was looking at regulation plus overtime. Dallas holds the tiebreaker currently. Sorry.
Yeah. And again, I kind of go back to as much as it would suck to see Colorado get eliminated, I'd be okay with Dallas. Honestly, I would. As much as Texas can eat all kinds of phallic symbols as a state, but that team. I mean, Jason Robertson.
They're fun. 32 Thoughts.
He's a superstar.
Yeah, 32 Thoughts just put out an interview talking with Wyatt Johnson. That kid, that's a very fun listen.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Matty Beniers just killing it in Seattle, he'd probably be your lock for Calder. 21 goals this year. Who would you put ahead of him?
I'd put Skinner.
Oh, Stuart Skinner. Yeah, there's still a chance, I think, that Stuart Skinner could take it over Matty Beniers.
Yeah.
I think the only way that happens is if we see Edmonton take the top spot in the Pacific and him getting a few more big wins. So yeah, who knows on that one?
Yeah, just so you understand why Jason Robertson is so damn good. His career points are 226 and he's played 205 games. So he's over a point per game. That's superstar status in my opinion. This season, he has 101 of his 226 points.
That's disgusting.
What?
Put it
Oh,
this way, for those playing at home, he has played less games and has a lot more points than Jack Hughes.
yeah. He's again, it goes back to because it's the Central. No one is talking about him. It's what I was complaining about last year so much about with Colorado. Because they're in Central, you've got Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, Devontae, Bo Byram, all these amazing players. Oh my God, all of them could be classified as superstars. No one's talking about them.
That's
they
a
win the
small
cup,
market,
and
though.
they kind of talk about them. Like,
It's like you forget you're a small market. It's the only reason
know,
why
but-
the Devils are a small market. The only reason why they only ever get talked about is Jack Hughes. And that's just because he has personality. So the NHL's like, we must push you to the moon because
Yeah.
Connor McDavid doesn't have one.
it seems like he's trying to show some personality. The past few interviews, he's been like, "Yeah, I don't like things," and it's like, "Oh, Connor McDavid doesn't like a certain thing." Okay,
It's almost like he's skipped the 10-year period that Crosby had where he's just like, I'm going to put my head down and not say anything to get in trouble. I think McDavid's gotten to that point where he's like, I don't care. I just want to win a cup.
yeah.
I will say whatever I want. And that's good for hockey.
I also think that like there's a little bit of influence from players like Brad Marchand or Trevor Zegras or there's been a couple others that like they go on the mic, even Marner a little bit. They go on the mic and they show themselves. They joke around. They talk a little bit. They talk about what they like Marner talking about his dog and his
Both
goofy
Kachucks.
skates and stuff. Yeah, exactly. So just like showing a bit of personality, I think that maybe he's kind of eased off a little bit because he feels more comfortable seeing other players at a superstar caliber also doing that. So
And it's nice to see.
hopeful. Yeah, it is. It's good for the game. It's good for bringing in people to see a really zany character.
Yeah, like, you're not going to
like-
bring in new fans just by doing the same thing that you're doing. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen how ridiculous some NHL teams' TikToks are, but they're great. Like,
did you see the Leafs?
the chicken nuggets.
How many chicken nuggets? And Marner and Matthews are standing at the boards for like a good 30 seconds, just like staring at the crease in silence, just like trying to do math. And then one of them's like, 2,500. 2,500.
It's one of those things that it takes you have to hire the right person to be able to do that, and you have to have players that are willing to be a part of that. It's like, could
Yeah.
you imagine if Marc-Andre Fleury, with all the antics that he pulls and all the stories that come out now, he would have been even more beloved
Yeah.
if it was an era where it was like you can show your personality outside of the locker room. Like, there's stories coming out now. Saw one earlier today. He got his equipment manager a date by installing Tinder on his phone, matching with somebody, giving them front row seats, and basically Fleury paid for all of this, gave the person a jersey. They ended up dating for like a couple months.
Huh.
And he's like, I'm the best. Like, just, and all, like, things like that would go absolutely viral now, and that's just the way he is. So it's nice to see that type of stuff, we're seeing it more out in the open. Buffalo,
But I will say, I didn't hear about that, and I spend too much time on Twitter.
No, that
So-
story literally just came out today. I can't remember where I saw it. Or the
Central. That's why.
the Buffalo Sabres, not sure if you saw, they did with Bleacher Report Open Ice, a parody of Between Two Ferns. And it's
Oh yeah.
hysterical. So it's nice that we're finally getting personality in hockey instead of what has been for a very long time. And it's been so bad.
So we're gonna, yeah. So we
Pucks in deep.
it was a good game. The boys out there, they skated hard. Put pucks deep. We went to the corners and we ground out that win. Yeah, it was good.
Anything else you want to add? Yeah.
Yeah. No, the boys played well. Played good out front of Frankie there. It was yeah, it was a good game. Yeah. Thanks, boys.
You
That's
pretty
it.
much nailed that one, by the way. Yeah, it's nice to see the personality coming out. Go back to it. Jack Hughes, like, if he doesn't like the person that he's talking to, he's sassy, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's,
I like that a lot.
hockey is getting more fun because of that, and there's people out there that are grumbly about it. Guess what? They don't
Oof,
care as much anymore.
screw him.
They
You know
really.
what? If you're like, I don't like change, okay, then go back to your little hidey hole. Like,
Just because it's
uh,
fun. Where'd that one go? We're gonna jump to this topic here.
okie
Um,
dokes. We're back to the same. Okay, never mind.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins has joined the 100-point club in Edmonton. The Oilers become the first NHL team with 3 players with 100 plus points since the 95-96 Penguins. That would be Mario, Yager, and Despatno III.
Yeah, it's Ryan Nugent. Oh, the third.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mario
alongside
Yager.
former GM in the NHL. He might still be, but I don't think so. This is great audio. Ron Francis.
Oh.
I sent you that one earlier today. I figured you would have remembered.
No, I wasn't paying attention. I was wildly busy at work.
So, why does Pat think that Nugent Hopkins joining the 100-point club is a terrible thing?
I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's just like, who cares? Of course he's going to. If you're near a man who's putting up ridiculous numbers and breaking his own career high and being like literally called McJesus, paired with also one of the other best hockey players in the entire damn league, you're gonna get points. Ryan Nugent Hopkins is not a 100-point player, and I think that even Ryan Nugent Hopkins knows that he's not a 100-point player. Put him, you know what? Put him in Arizona. Let's see how many points he gets in Arizona. Put McDavid in Arizona and see how many points he gets there. I'm going to assume McDavid gets close to the same amount. Ryan Nugent Hopkins will end up with maybe 50 to 70 points. That's where he's a 50 to 70 point player. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm saying he is not a 100-point player. That is strictly a benefit from playing with McDavid. He is like 100 points is superstar status. Would you classify Ryan Nugent Hopkins as a superstar?
No, and
Would
he
you
wouldn't
put him in
either.
the All-Star game?
And he wouldn't either. But it's still an amazing thing. He's a part of the Century Club. And to see the first time in almost, what's that, 20 years? No, I'm terrible at math. Yes, 20. No, almost 30 years. My goodness. That's amazing. This is what we've wanted for years. More scoring, more points, and then we finally get it. And Pat's like, he's not good. He's not.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing. He's not a superstar.
if it was Zach Hyman, I would have been far more like, yeah, that's awesome. And that makes sense. He plays net front. He's a grindy player. He does the things right. Ryan Nugent Hopkins is on the ice. That, like, every time I've watched an Edmonton Oilers game, it's just like, oh, and Hopkins got a secondary assist. He has 44 even strengths points. That's it. 44.
That's pretty
So
good.
all
actually,
he's doing.
Well, I mean,
that's pretty good. But all
Draisaitl
he's
has
doing,
what,
that means
31 power play goals. If I'm remembering off the top of my head, he's second, I think, all time for most in a season.
Yeah,
second or
on
fourth, I
playoff.
can't remember. That tap goes a lot more dry, so that's once again going to be the problem for the Oilers. I just wanted to put that one up there because I knew that you even before the show you were talking about it when I showed this to you. So.
I know. I really upset my my coworker today. Him and I talk a lot of hockey. He's an Edmonton Oilers fan, and it's tough to be friends with him. I haven't quite gone past that because that's a tough pill to swallow. At least he's not a Wild fan, but yeah, I called it out, and he also agreed. He said that, like, yeah, that's strictly the benefit of playing with McDavid. And then the other side of it, and this is going to be fully and totally contradictory to everything that I just said. Good for him. I'm honestly really, like, I think he's always been underrated. I think this is a well over index, plain and simple.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think everyone saw him as like maybe a 30 or 40 point player. I've always thought he was a very solid player. I think he was a really good pick, and good for him for figuring out how to pass to a person to pass to McDavid.
But he's still having a
It's-
good year, and he's being an impact. Like, he's throwing his body around. We have seen more not McDavid, more Nugent Hopkins fights this year than like he's realized. The whole team has realized basically it's get them the puck, protect them if the game gets chippy. Doesn't matter what your name is, unless it's McDavid or Draisaitl. You get in there and you play punchy facey.
Yeah, and I mean that all kind of goes down to the coach as well. Like they're utilizing the tools properly. They're using Hyman the way that he's supposed to be used. They're using Nugent Hopkins the way that he's supposed to be used. Unlike the way that it was before. I can't remember either of the coaches' names, but like having Cassian, really, they were trying to do what they did with Gretzky.
Well, they had an
and
anchor,
having yeah,
and he was
they
still
tried
putting
to,
up 100 points.
well, now he's putting up 150.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding.
But with Cassian on the same line as McDavid, that was them trying to replicate what they did with Gretzky and having a bruiser so you didn't go near McDavid. And look how well that worked. McDavid then tore his PCL, which is the worst of the CLs to tear in your leg. So, like, I'm glad to see that Edmonton at least kind of has their head on straight. I don't think they're going to make it through the playoffs personally. But even still, it's good to see that the coach is coaching and actually doing a good job of it. So
yeah, came up from
kudos to
the
Nugent.
came up from the AHL, and he's done some good work there. Because you mentioned knee-ish injury, I'll go to this one. This one scared Pat earlier when I showed him. So for those listening, if you have a weak stomach, give yourself about 10-15 seconds and then rejoin us. X-rays,
hit the skip 15 seconds.
X-rays showed a broken kneecap for Marco Kasper and an estimated 6 weeks recovery time, an injury he played most of his NHL debut with. So Red Wings player could, like, I hit my kneecap on like an end table, and I'm on the floor for a couple minutes being like, this is the worst thing that's happened to me. The pain tolerance levels of NHL players is absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
And the quote there from him, looking back, it's a bit crazy. I felt pain, but I thought I had to push through and finish the game. That's hockey player mentality. I wonder, I would love to be a fly on the wall for what Yzerman would have said to him upon hearing that.
Oh, he would have.
Because
I feel like he would have ripped him apart.
Yzerman, he had to stop playing early because of playing through bad injuries. He saw one of his biggest rivals, Sakic, with the exact same thing.
Korea.
So, yeah, it's hopefully I have the feeling that that's the last we'll hear of a story like that from Detroit. It was just, I read that and I was like, I don't know the last time I heard a player with that injury, let alone somebody who was like, I'm going to play hockey, a game that is heavily reliant on my knees and my hips.
Ugh. Yeah.
We'll get rid of that one. Nah, I don't care about that one. This one, the last one that I want to talk about that I brought forward here is you figured this one was going to happen. Laurent Brossoit is the first goalie off the ice at morning skate. That would be the Vegas goalie, which means that Jonathan Quick not playing against the Kings tonight. That's disappointing.
That one doesn't surprise me. He doesn't need that. And not to mention Brossoit, he's been statistically the more consistent goaltender out of the two. Quick had a good, like, let me show you why you want me kind of thing when he came in. But as Vegas's goaltenders are starting to get healthy again, they have to go back to the better goalie. And nothing against Quick. He used to be the better goalie. He's not now.
Well,
Laurent Brossoit is a better goaltender statistically currently.
Not only that, it's a potential, like, there's still a chance these teams still face each other in the first round in the playoffs. If Edmonton plays leapfrog, and it's looking like they might based on their record, then you kind of have to go with the better goalie. Or if he shows weakness, then maybe, you do bring Quick in. So it could just be a little bit of they're trying to play chess against each other for this one, because there's still that slight chance that they end up playing each other there, because Vegas only has 1 point, but they do have the game in hand. So
True. And like when you think about it too, you don't want that to be a factor because it is a hard swing one way or the other. Either he plays out of his mind good or he crumbles because that is his heart and soul team that he won the cup with. That is his home. That was his home for so long. So there's so many emotions that go with that. And not to mention, every single player on there knows his weak spots.
yeah.
So like there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think at the end of the day, if I was it's Cassidy down there now. If I was Cassidy, I would have done the exact same thing. And I would have pulled him aside and said, hey man, this is not anything personal. We need to win. And like Brossoit, he's
been our guy all year, right? So
yeah, he's been our guy, and I don't want you getting in your own head and then feeling even worse and then losing your own personal momentum because that would do worse if he lost. Could you imagine that would do to him?
And if they face each other in the playoffs, that would be the only storyline that would come out from the media.
Yeah.
So it's the right move. It was just one of those ones that I saw, and it was like, we'll put it this way: it is a easy topic to run with, but it makes sense for Vegas to go with your starter against the team you could potentially end up playing, because that the Pacific is close. Obviously, the Central is closer, but like if LA wins tonight and it's in regulation, 2 points separate first from third. Mind you, it's 0 points separate first from third in the Central. That to me is a heck of a lot more fun than whatever this is over here in the East with 125 to 102 as your 1-2 separation.
Yeah, this season is so bonkers. It's if you put money on the Bruins winning the President's Trophy during
the odds were the preseason, the odds were ridiculous. One thing, just looking ahead to next week, because obviously that will be the penultimate day of the regular season. We're going to have to pull up those way too early predictions and see how good and bad we did. Because there's a few on there that I think we nailed. There's a few that we were absolutely very badly wrong on. So it'll be interesting to pull that one up to see kind of how it all worked out.
I'm really excited to force you to get a tattoo across your chest that says Pat was right about Tage Thompson.
I don't know if I disagreed necessarily on that one. I was just okay.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm going to listen to that episode again, strictly so I can be like, Brian said he wasn't sure if I was right.
Fair enough.
I mean,
do you have anything else to add here, Pat? A little bit of a shorter episode, but that's okay.
No, I don't think so. I think we can hop into some DJ Airhorn here.
All right.
Here we go. It is time for the games of the week. So, Brian, I think at least for those that are, I was going to say you can probably switch things. So last week, I've closed the window, so I'm going to continue to stall while I reopen the page. And
so I will talk about mine then.
Yes.
Mine had the Isles taking on the Hurricanes on, what was that, Sunday? 2-1 final. Canes get the win. That playoff feel kind of game, except the Canes were out shooting them like crazy. Isles need to win games like that, and they didn't. This was a big one for the Hurricanes because the Devils were on their butt, and the Devils put up a big fat L against the Jets on a back-to-back. And then yours, what day was it on, Pat? Tuesday?
Mine was Tuesday, April 4th, and I chose another 2-1 game, which was the Panthers versus the Sabres. I thought that one was going to be a bit more heated.
No kidding.
But no, unfortunately, Devin Levi did not get the win, but he did a hell of a job keeping the pucks out in that game. Not so much in the game that's currently on, but he was one of the goaltenders for Team Canada for the World Junior. So it's always exciting to see a rookie come in and really show that he's got some talent there. But again, on the flip side, Florida Lion So the goaltender Alex Lyon there, he is also he's putting on a show, which is hilarious that it's the Panthers have a player named Lion.
4-0 since he started for them, right? So he's
Yeah.
playing well.
It's going to be 5 with today's because
as we talk, 7-1 for the Panthers on 19 shots.
Yikes.
He is putting up a bit of a performance, 42 shots from the Senators. Okay, Pat, your game of the week for this coming week.
So my game is on Tuesday, April 11th.
Which one did you go
with? And it
with?
is at... There's a lot of really important ones. I was hard looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Tampa Bay Lightning because that is going to be a first-round matchup, as everyone knew from November. But it's going to be a bit of a different look, so I decided to not go with that, and I'm going to go with another one. Again, another one I was looking at for picking was the Colorado game against the Kings.
No, they play the Oilers. Oh, okay, yeah.
But I decided to go Avalanche versus Oilers. They're going to probably meet in the playoffs at this rate.
It could be a Western Conference rematch, right? So,
yeah, it feels that way. The Oilers, they're fighting for positioning, and they most likely will be then still because everything is so friggin' tight in the West.
Honestly, even there's a big chance that this final game of the season, the actual final game between the Avs and Preds, could have massive implications on the entire layout of the Western Conference playoffs. Yep. So there is a very good chance that this game could be the most important game of the season for both of these teams because it could determine literally first, second, or third in your division.
Yeah, so it's going to be not only an important game, but it's also going to be probably not a good game as a fan of either team. The whole time we're just
it's gonna be one of those ones. I'm gonna have to
book off Wednesday.
It'll be like watching the All-Star game where it's just gonna be like 17 goals for each side because nobody wants to get injured, or they're just gonna run at each other to be like, well, we don't have Makar, so we don't care.
Well, Byram has been stepping up in his spot quite a bit, actually, so that at least gives me a little bit of breathing room, but even still, I think that's going to be a hell of a game, so I don't want to watch it, but I'll probably force myself to.
Ryan. I had to. Got to finish the season, Pat going with his team, me going with mine. Kind of fun that this game, Devils-Bruins, going to be the big national game in the States on ABC as well.
Yeah.
So it's getting the full coverage. Yeah, they did.
Oh, I love that. Good for them. Good for New Jersey. I like that a lot.
So looking forward to that one because there's as well for the Devils that could be a game required to potentially either A, stay above the Rangers, or B, close the gap against Carolina even more because there's not many games left to do it. I'm wondering with Boston if they hit that, 62 wins? If this is the win for that amount, then who knows what team will show up. I have the feeling that Boston's not going to take too much of a rest. They have been sitting players, and I think the Devils and Bruins, their last two games were in December, were tight affairs. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good game as long as they don't sit too many of the key players. But at the same time, you want them to sit a lot of the key. I don't know. It's either way, it'll still be a good matchup, and hopefully they know they're on prime time, so they play a couple more players.
That could be the thing too, because of that. The NHL might be like, just make sure your stars are playing, please. This one's on ABC.
Yeah, so it could be that.
Sad to say, final games of the week of the year. Because next time, what are we just going to say? Our game of the week is the Avs at the Preds. It's because nobody cares about the Blue Jackets. So,
I do have one question for you before we go into our sign-offs. Have you decided upon a beer yet?
I haven't. I should
me neither.
pull it up. We actually had, because we threw that one up on TikTok, so we had somebody on our TikTok recommend a beer. Thank you, by the way, for that. The only thing is, the beer that they recommended is almost impossible to get in Canada.
Of course.
And it is because it's won a couple awards in its lifetime, and
Okay.
to get it in Canada, if you wanted to, it is so expensive. So I was like, maybe not. It is a Chouffe, Chouffe cherry. It
Oh, I
sounds
know exactly
amazing.
which one that one
Yeah,
is. I've had it before.
sounds
It's
amazing.
incredible. Is it a 9?
Yeah, and that's what I replied back to. Was like, you're trying to kill me, giving me a 9% beer, drinking 2 of those a night.
Sure, but those are because that's a Belgian, and it's just they're so light and so dangerous. That's why I like Delirium, which is a very apt name for how we'll feel. Maybe that's what we get. They're are they 9s? No, they're 9s. But yeah, the pink elephant. But yeah, that's a good choice. Whoever picked that, good for you. That is an excellent, excellent choice. I've had it before, loved it when I was in the States. Oh, I wish it was here. I've had
Yeah,
a bunch
it's
of the other shoots, so for sure.
unfortunately it's a little tough to get here, but still have to decide. I've got about as 8 days, something hours, and something minutes based on the start of the show. So we'll figure that one out. Hopefully
I'm probably
for
just gonna get whatever's at the LCBO around the corner from me. Let's be honest, it'll be like this is kind of maroon. Like,
I'll try and have it for next Thursday and make sure that I don't fully show the label unless it's got like a devil on it, because we don't want to get in trouble. So yay.
that's fair. Yeah, cool.
Well, I've got nothing else to add, Pat. Do you want to say anything on your way out?
Just a brief little, and I know that she is not listening. Happy birthday to my sister. She turns 40
Happy
today.
birthday.
So happy birthday, Meg. You're awesome.
And on that note, we will talk to everybody again next week. Get set for the playoffs. The chance that we don't even know a few of the West matchups, which is kind of crazy to think. So until then, bye.
Bye.